nonsense thoughts on a knife edge, nonsense statements, seemingly nonsense, but you being you will try to make sense of what you hear. Because when first read, they may seem to be nonsense. This may be because we humans like to make sense from what we see and hear, as we hate to feel a failure. So after a while, if not immediately, you'll make sense of them. I am certain of that. Our language keeps us straight-jacketed. Our understanding of our language keeps us from being creative, from the subconscious, from our unconscious, to live freely. We like to think that we can make sense of our world by being normal, thinking and interpreting our use of language. We are imprisoned by our conventional understanding of what we read and interpret as being normal. We aren't allowing ourselves to be truly free in expressing our full potential. We are suppressing ourselves. In fact, we are suppressing the divine. The cow used to like to slurp when they weren't at home. Please give that to you before me takes it from me. The only way outside is to never go inside. The top of the hedge was always better when it was down below. Please never do car again on a Thursday evening. The mad cat was always pleased to see the upturned rat on vacation. When one thing and three others, with one thing and three others, the giraffes stayed before they went. Before you knew where you were, the giants bowled over on a Saturday. Please stop doing this when you're king of the Doomsday Manual. If the pig didn't fly, the mouse stayed at home. The mould on your head was not as nice as the apple I gave me. If you stop now, I shall always play conkers. The nose under your face should always look towards heaven. Why not hell in your backyard when I'm sitting here with my cat? The floor tile told me so. That should never happen before I've poured my second cup of tea. Take a look inside the drip before the drop dissolves. The tea bag was more succulent than the grapes you detested. The chair belongs to the tramp that loves his ice cream warm. The person over there before the where that went before is very upside down. My friend the worm's aunt told me to cry whenever I has a shower in the night. I decided not to go into the parlour when she wasn't sitting on the toilet before lunch. My finger wasn't aching before the butterfly in Australia died. In a jar came over me just the other evening last night. What makes sense to a newt is always correct when the tiger pounces on an elephant. Fudge never tastes as good as when me is licking a lollipop. The light of that golf ball is always stronger than the bulb. Rain is wetter just before it touches one's face, but not as wet as yesterday. A crime doesn't pay unless one commits it to the English language. A shopkeeper is no more foolish than a badger crossing the road. Having one's leg up in the air is never quite right, especially when it's the right one. Mixing up the confetti is a nuisance on a Sunday. The Queen sat on his elephant just before it was time to say bye-bye. Understanding is not something a fly does just before it smells a rabbit. The ups and insides of life are pretty sincere only at 4:53 in the afternoon, just after tea. The key in the door was fired sooner than Jack Robinson was said. Don't call a kitten, run after it with a broomstick. Putting on my coat isn't like placing your head into a brown paper bag on a Sunday afternoon. Before you do again what you didn't do at all, call the dog back in. You'll have more success then. If you won't listen to you, why not dance the sixpenny bit backwards tomorrow instead? A focus went up the hill while Philip danced. If you think about a worm eating a lion, how is it possible to be sane? Joyce was a carbuncle on his nose today, but not tomorrow. Christ didn't say no to his cows, but said yes to the snakes that swam in the pond just down the road. A clean donkey can never eat a sausage inside out. How can the gorilla sit on my arsehole while first getting permission? How can the gorilla sit on my arsehole without first getting permission? The dust on the washing up bottle wasn't there yesterday. Come on, don't do that over the elephant like some baboon eating a hula hoop. Just for the record, my right ear doesn't hear what my right eye sees, only tomorrow. Goodness gracious yourselves, the Thursday hasn't appeared today from beyond the doormat. What's inside you waiting to be revealed to your tongue yesterday? Take a risk the other day won't matter at all when you sneezed yesterday. The greatest ever happening didn't occur even today, but will be apparent the day after yesterday's supper. When a pain in the arse hasn't happened yet, it will be a pain in the latrine quite soon, you bet. The swan swam away from nowhere to the other side, to the other edge of the wave. God bless my penis when it wasn't agreeable to all those who love a spangle. No, it can only happen on the day when Giddy became silly to eat a tomato. Thank goodness the General wasn't eating the plum just before the custard arrived at 12:42 tomorrow morning. The atmosphere was never allowed to be in tune with the twanging of the apple cores on the fridge. The gate leading to nowhere is always the worst of the better of the three mice. The juice that didn't spill over the edge of the tin can wasn't there when I slurped a cucumber. The house in the storm at sunrise became very ill over the eating of some fantastic-looking pineapple on the day that has yet to be created. What was there before the pizza fell on top of the hammer was lost the tomorrow after yesterday. The letter that fell over the cream on top of the apple existed before Harry brought it to Sarah's attention yesterday after Wednesday morning. So they're mindless. Mindless is the place, the disposition that allows creativity to take place. Likened to the open hand, creativity is embraced without being self-conscious, without criticism, or without judgment. It's occurring right now. As I was reading, I was considering the fact that gender isn't easy nowadays. Male, female, trans this, trans that. Oh, I get very confused. 5-year-old boys saying they don't want to be a boy anymore, they want to be a girl. No sex at all or whatever, no gender at all. It's all very confusing. Well, it's not necessarily confusing, really. It's just another label. People want labels. They want some kind of identification. You want an identification. You want a label. Years ago, someone asked me in front of an Alexander teacher, a therapist, what I was, what I did. And the therapist butted in and said, he's a human being. So what is this body-mind about? What's your body-mind about? Are you really a true human being? Are you allowing the creativity that God or the divine or that higher consciousness or that higher self wishes to reveal itself through you? This pullover was made by a machine, no doubt. It wasn't hand knitted, but even if it was hand knitted, often the hand knitter follows a pattern. So the machine that created this was following a programmed pattern. But God, the divine, can live throughout patterns. They can also live without the conventions, the normalcy. It can live in a mysterious, there's that saying, God moves in mysterious ways. And that's it. It's wonders to perform. But society isn't allowing God, generally speaking. The sacred is set aside. God is set aside. Look at the great artists, Leonardo da Vinci, for instance. Look what he created. God created that through him. Where does it come from? You can't manufacture that without the understanding of the divine. So the divine is living every human being, every animal, even the inanimate objects. There is only God, as Adida would say. There is only God. But we're not realizing that it's only God. We have to realize, in order to be sane in this mad world of differences, contradictions, the ups and downs, to live a life of sanity requires one to realize God. And God is this disposition of the open hand. So, God bless my penis when it wasn't agreeable to all those who love a spangle. The gate leading to nowhere is always the worst of the better of the three mice. What on earth does that mean? The juice that didn't spill over the edge of the tin can wasn't there when I slurped a cucumber. Well, that could make sense, couldn't it? What was there before the pizza fell on top of the hammer was lost the tomorrow after yesterday. Now that needs some thinking, doesn't it? Lost the tomorrow after yesterday is today. The letter that fell over the cream on top of the apple existed before Harry brought it to Sarah's attention yesterday after Wednesday morning. So yesterday was Thursday, was it? You can do what you wish to try and make sense of these statements, but they appeared from nowhere. They weren't thought about before. And this, I'm only just beginning to understand that this body-mind has not been allowing God to live it full time. Adida would call that the broken light. We keep breaking the light. So there's the continuous light, and we keep interfering with it. And then it has to somehow wait until he calls it the self-contraction that interferes. The clenched fist interferes with God, the divine, which is already happiness, joy and delight. There's no dilemma in this place. There's no problem in this place. There is no arrogance in this place. There is no I am right and you are wrong in this place. It embraces all and all, etc., etc.